Is it always sunny in Uncasville? The Connecticut Sun are 12-4, and Alyssa Thomas recently recorded 3 triple-doubles in 8 days. But Brionna Jones also recently had surgery after rupturing her Achilles tendon. Sun beat writer Jacqueline LeBlanc is here to break down all of this and more, including where the team goes from here.
Ogunbowale for the win.
Good! You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Hello and happy Friday. You are locked on to women's basketball. I'm host Natalie Heavren, and I'm a features writer and the Atlantic 10 beat reporter for The Next. Thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Women's Basketball is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Today, we'll be chatting all things Connecticut Sun, from Alyssa Thomas's recent triple-doubles, and yes, there's been more than one, to Brionna Jones's injury, and how the team is blazing ahead. Joining me today is Jacqueline LeBlanc, who covers the Connecticut Sun for The Next. So Jacqueline, as you know, usually I open this first segment with a question, but first I have to say Alyssa Thomas had 3 triple-doubles in 8 days, and per across the timeline, she's the first player with a triple-double in consecutive regular season games. She's the first player with 3 triple-doubles in a single season, and she has the 7 most recent triple-doubles in the WNBA. Oh, and she didn't even have a career triple-double at this time last year. So with that being said, how is she doing all of that?
Yeah, so I feel like at this point in Alyssa Thomas's career, it kind of feels like she's been doing this forever. But she's definitely a really unique playmaker as a traditional forward. Curt Miller, her previous Connecticut Sun coach, has said for years that AT and probably Candace Parker are two of the best passing, facilitating forwards in the league and possibly the world. And Alyssa every year has kind of just continued to build on that as a playmaker. Just looking back at some of her stats, before her Achilles injury that kept her out of, the majority of the 21 season, she had 8 games with at least 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. 4 of those came in 2020 during the bubble season, including a 22-point, 9 rebound, and 9 assist game. So when she came back last season in 2022, her playmaking was just completely on another level. She had 3 games with at least 8 before she started her triple-double play. When she got her first career triple-double against the Minnesota Lynx last July, on July 22nd. She had another one a few weeks later in August. And then, of course, she had the back-to-back triple-doubles in the finals. So, I asked Stephanie White about this a couple weeks ago, and I feel like her answer is always that AT is just AT. This is what she does. She's just incredibly talented, can really see the floor, really excels as a playmaker, but also, is there for the rebounds, is there for the points. And that doesn't even, the triple doubles, don't even include what she can do with steals and blocks, and maybe not blocks, but steals for sure. And, I feel like this is going to become a very common occurrence for the now definitive triple double queen.
And I know this is your 3rd season covering the Sun. Before that, I covered the team for 2 years. So collectively, we have watched Alyssa Thomas play a lot of basketball. How have you seen her reach yet another level this season? And I feel like every time we're talking about her reaching another level.
Yeah, Alyssa this season, of course, with Stephanie White and the new system, the new team in place, Alyssa has said a couple times throughout the season that this is probably the most fun she's had in a couple of years in her career. Just what Steph has done for the offense and kind of revamping the team and revamping the team's identity has really kind of unlocked another level to Alyssa Thomas's game. AT really excels in transition. She's super, super fast. She's always on the move. And Steph White's, new system is constantly moving. It's all about reading and reacting to the defense. And Alyssa has said that, that's where she plays her best games. And, also part of it, I've kind of asked about how AT differs as a facilitator this year compared to last year's system and Curt Miller's system that was very, paint heavy. And Stephanie White and Alyssa have both said that it comes down to just having the ball, pushing much faster, everyone moving, AT being able to pass the ball and react to the defenses, whether instead of waiting for, the team to set up a very specific set and, move the ball that way. So this new system has also kind of unlocked AT's game in that way and has kind of, really, really enhanced what she does really, really well and really uniquely and versatilely as a playmaking four.
And what has AT said about her triple doubles, if anything? I know she's not one to speak superfluously.
Right. So you've covered the team, so you probably have a good guess of how she's responded to all these historical, triple doubles and things that she's already accomplished in her career. And she's very humble about it. So she kind of acts like it's not a big deal. She's always one to credit her teammates. I think it was her first triple double last week, or maybe it was her second one last Thursday, where she mentioned that, her name may be on this triple double, this stat line may be under her name, but it's her teammates making shots. It's her teammates making good decisions, and they're just as involved in it as she is. And, she's definitely thrown a lot of credit their way, whether it was the triple double or at the beginning of the month, she had the team's franchise single game season assist record when she had 16 assists. The league record is 18. So she was very close to that. And it was the same thing. I'm not having these assists if my teammates aren't making their shots. So the pretty standard Alyssa Thomas response that you would probably expect from someone like her.
Yeah, and exactly what we were all expecting this season. Alyssa Thomas, 16 assists, coming from a forward. That's just, run-of-the-mill, everyday stuff in the WNBA. One of our coaches and her teammates said as well, are they appreciating maybe the history that's being made, or are not as humble, are more willing to boast about her?
Yeah, there are a couple good anecdotes from, a couple of her games already. Natisha Heidemann has talked, I think it was after Alyssa's 16 assist game, Natisha Heidemann just talked about how what Alyssa does is unreal. Like sometimes she can't even believe it, and she's her teammate. She sees her do it all the time. But Dejanay Carrington had a really good quote after Tuesday's game against the Liberty, where AT had her most recent triple double. And it also it's coming to the point where AT had 3 triple doubles in the last week or so. Of course, she did media for the first 2, but then the third one she didn't even do the traditional post game. It's coming to a point where this is becoming such a common occurrence. Like, what else can Alyssa say about it? But Dejanay made a point to say that this is not necessarily normal, especially for a playmaker, a traditional 4 player like Alyssa. It's not something that people should normalize. Like what Alyssa is doing night in and night out is super unique, has not been done before in this league. And she's evolving into a player in her own different category. So everyone on her team is absolutely amazed and honored to be around Alyssa and be around that kind of history. DeWanna Bonner had a good quote a couple of weeks ago, I think, and she talked about how I think it was also last Thursday, she talked about how, she looked up at the board and she can see, all right, Alyssa's already got this many rebounds in this amount of time. Like it's going to be a triple double night for her. So, the team, of course, is always very, very excited for her accomplishments, but, especially now with where the team is at right now and missing Brionna Jones, it's going to become more important. And she's, already the focal point of the team, but I feel like that's going to intensify even more so.
Yeah, just to clarify for our listeners, everything I said before Jacqueline gave this awesome answer was complete sarcasm. What Alyssa Thomas is doing, I'm not sure if we'll ever see again, at least not for a very long time. So Jacqueline, what's next for AT or, the engine to conquer?
Right. So just in terms of her triple doubles, like you said earlier, she's had the last 7 in the league. And, a year ago at this point, she had 0 in her career. So I just think on that end, she's, even when she's not, officially getting triple doubles, she's getting really, really close. She's putting up really close, really impressive, really well-rounded stat lines. So in terms of that kind of part of her career, I'm very interested to see, does Alyssa Thomas get to 10 career triple doubles before the next person gets, the next triple double? I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested in, what AT's stat line has to kind of come down to for her to firmly be in the MVP conversation. Because like Dejanay mentioned, like, no one has done this before. And, she's a player in her own category. She's not only leading the league in rebounds, she's second in assists. She's now leading the league in steals. Is Alyssa Thomas going to have a triple double that has steals at one point? Is she going to get into quadruple double territory? Right now, I think she's averaging 14.6 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 8 assists a game. So, how many assists does she have to average that for the season? All these like really cool things that are really interesting to me. I feel like she's definitely already in the MVP conversation, and she should be. I think it's just to a point like, how impressive, how often does she have to do this? How consistent does she have to do this? How high do the Sun have to be in the rankings at the end of the season for this to, actually be an MVP conversation where everyone in the league is kind of recognizing that. But, with all that said, when it comes down to Alyssa Thomas, she cares about one thing, and it's winning a championship. Like, I'm sure AT does not care about how many triple doubles she drops this season, whether or not she gets her MVP recognition. She just really, really wants to win. Like, that's her motivation. It feels like it's always been her motivation. So even though, they've dealt with some adversity already this season, that's clearly the goal for this team, and definitely Alyssa for the rest of the season.
Definitely. Maybe I'll have to have you on in another month or two to talk about the MVP race. Coming up next, we'll get into how Brionna Jones's injury impacts the team. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The WNBA season is in full swing, and Prize Picks offers options of opportunities to play daily fantasy sports, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made, turnovers, and more. It's easy to play. Just pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go on to score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projection. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you want to watch, not just the WNBA, but also the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college sports, esports, NASCAR, tennis, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. It's safe and fast. It's in addition to safe and fast withdrawals, entries can be made in 60 seconds or less, and in more than 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. Everydayers, make sure to tune back in tomorrow to hear from our WNBA draft experts with a special edition podcast episode talking to M. Adler about the Storm reportedly signing Gabby Williams. So back to the Sun. Jacqueline, last week, Brionna Jones had surgery on ruptured Achilles tendon. Without going into too much detail, how and when did that injury happen?
Yeah, unfortunately. So it was last Tuesday, June 20th. The Sun were in the middle of a 3-game West Coast road trip. They were playing the Seattle Storm Tuesday night, and Bree went down with a non-contact injury with about 1:05 left in the entire game. So that was really unfortunate. The team didn't, officially say anything or officially provide an update until a few days later, but just judging from the broadcasts, from her teammates' reactions and, Bree's reaction, it did not look good. So it is it is her right Achilles, but she has had surgery. There was a really cool moment after their Minnesota game where it's the first game where Bree was gone and the team was able to FaceTime with her after their win. So that was really cool. But yeah, overall, just a really unfortunate hit to the team and a really big one.
And how was Bree Jones playing before the injury? And what void does she leave in the team for the rest of the season?
Right. So Bree Jones was their big off-season re-signing. So they had cored Bree. Their offseason was all about building around Bree and building around Alyssa Thomas for the team's future. And she was having a career year. Like, she was really, filling what role they needed of her. She was averaging 15.9 points a game, 8.2 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 1.8 steals. She was top 5 in the league in her field goal percentage, offensive rebounds, steals. She had 24. She ended the season with 13 games played, and she had 24 total steals in those 13 games. That alone was really impressive to me. That I felt like a really big improvement to her game this year. That 24 total steals was already more than half of the total she put up in all of last season. And still, still at this point is still top 5 in the league for total steals. So she was having, career year. She looked really good passing, and she's just outright one of the best low post scorers in the game. So offensively, it's pretty obvious, what they're missing and their big paint presence. But also, it's not always as obvious, but she's also super important to the Suns defense, which is a big piece to their identity and the big consistent piece to the team's identity. Her teammates and her coaches have raved about just the subtle things that she does for this team on defense. She's a great communicator, an excellent communicator, and all the subtle things she does really cover up a lot of the mistakes that may happen, inside the paint or sometimes happen on the perimeter, whether it's cleaning up rebounds that the guard should have had or clogging up spaces that are left unfilled, just really small things that aren't always shown on the box score. So, she was easily on track for her 3rd All-Star appearance, possibly fighting for some all WNBA consideration. So that's really tough. And then, of course, there's just like the emotional piece of losing an important veteran leader like Brionna Jones. Everyone loves her on the team. She's a great person. She's a great player, obviously, but also an even better person off the floor. And she leads by example. So, her effort, her focus, her desire to win, that all sets the tone for the team. And, it is another injury to this Sun team, which they seem to have some pretty bad luck with. So emotionally, that was hard for the team too. Steph White last week kind of talked a little bit about how, this is all about playing for Breezy now. Like, Alyssa Thomas kind of took over the locker room and said, we could pout and be upset and, do these things that are out of our control, or, we could play for Breezy because Breezy wants us to win. And that kind of put another bolt in their step, I guess, and kind of provided this other layer of motivation for them to win now.
And, I know there's no one person that's going to step up and fill that spot, but who do you see stepping up or having a breakout moment over the rest of the season to help collectively fill that role?
Yeah, so that's exactly it. Like no one person can fill what Brionna Jones brought to this team. And it's going to be a collective team-wide effort. Steph White has talked about that. People on the team have talked about that. I think they all recognize that everyone's going to have to do a little bit more each night to make up for losing someone like Bri. But already in the last 3 games that the Sun have played without Brionna Jones, we've seen people from their bench step up. Dejanay Carrington has had a great 3-game streak over the last couple of games. She's averaged 19 points per game in the last couple of games without Bri, including a career high 23 against the Liberty on Tuesday night. The Sun lost that game, but Dejanay was really the key for Connecticut digging themselves out of 2 double-digit deficits in that second half. Dejanay has also, this is her 3rd year on the team, and she's seen this team respond after major injuries. And so she kind of knows the deal. Like, she knows that everyone has to step up and everyone has to do her part. And she was already a really good defensive presence and brought good defensive energy for the team. But now it also really comes down to, she's been really impressive with her rebounding. Like, that's been a big focus for her. Bri's obviously a really big rebounder for the team. And it's more than just the post having to fill that role. Like, Steph White has talked about how the backcourt and perimeter players and guards they're just going to have to be better rebounders for them to step up and kind of fill that hole. And Dejanay has really done that. And Olivia Nelson-Ododa, she is the first post player off the bench. This was really supposed to kind of be a development year for her in her 2nd year in the league, getting reps and going against Bri Jones and going against Alyssa Thomas in practice. And now she'll probably just have more time to kind of get it out on the floor. She had a really great game on Tuesday as well. She was 6 for 6 from the field, I believe, had a career high 14 points. So this could also be a really big moment for her. And Steph White has been really happy with Olivia throughout the season. She said in the past that she thinks Liv is farther along than they were expecting her to. And on defense already, she was already a good presence for her. Olivia Nelson-Ododa does more for the team than just like block shots. She says she also alters shots, and kind of her perspective was that anything that Olivia is able to bring on offense is just an added bonus. So if she's able to keep up what she showed on Tuesday night, I think that's also going to be really, really big for the team.
Coming up next, we'll discuss where the Sun are heading as the midway point of the season approaches. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Buying tickets to events shouldn't be stressful, so instead use Game Time. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. I love the Game Time app because you can see the view from your seat before you buy the ticket, which I just think is so cool. You know exactly what your view is going to be for the event or the game that you're buying tickets for. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So, Jacqueline, who has surprised you on the Sun so far this season?
Right. So we talked a little bit about Dejanay a few minutes ago. She's been huge for the team just in those last 3 games alone. But you've also seen her, get more playing time as the season's gone on. And I feel like a big difference between Dejanay this year and Dejanay last year is her consistency, especially at the for the 3-pointer, which has been really, really good for the team. So I'm just excited to see what Dejanay has to bring. She knows this is an opportunity for her. She, mentioned the other day after her career high 23 points that, she knew she wasn't getting a lot of playing time as the season opened, and she had to have some tough conversations with the staff, and she knew, she could kind kind of work harder, or she could kind of pout about it. And she's really kind of turned her season around, especially coming off of an injury that she had in the off season. So just excited to see what DiJonai brings to the table moving forward, especially as the team continues to kind of tinker with their lineups and, going small and kind of maneuvering the paint without Brionna Jones. And then I don't know about if this is necessarily a surprise, but someone I've been really impressed with and that I'm excited to see more from the season is Rebecca Allen. We kind of knew what you were getting with Rebecca Allen when she was involved in that Jonquel Jones trade during the off season, but just like seeing her out on the floor has been really fun to watch. Like defensively, she's awesome. She's going to be really important for the team. She's a guard, but she has the length and kind of the versatility of a forward. And she showed that on Tuesday night when she had a career high 5 blocks. So that was really cool to see. Offensively, Rebecca is going to have to be a little bit more consistent. But she showed that she has the potential to do that. Earlier this month, she had a career high night. She had like 6 out of 7 threes, I believe. So I'm excited to see if her scoring kind of improves. She's also coming off of an injury this off season. So there might be like kind of that mental step to go over. But she really opens up the offense and she's going to be really important for how this team kind of evolves throughout the season.
And what are you most looking forward to in the next couple of weeks between now and the All-Star break? Is there any one game that stands out to you, or are you looking forward to seeing somebody play, something like that?
I am not sure about that. I'm keeping an Alyssa Thomas triple-double tracker. So I would very interested to see if she drops a few more triple-doubles before the All-Star break. And if she doesn't do that, what other ridiculous, mind-blowing stat or what performance is she possibly going to put up next?
Yeah, definitely think we're all keeping track of the Alyssa Thomas triple-double stats. Just you never know what's coming next. So what stories are you working on now?
Right. So I'm really interested in the Suns' kind of new small ball lineup offensively without Brionna Jones. In Bree's absence, Rebecca Allen was moved to the starting lineup. So she's on the wing now, and Alyssa Thomas is kind of playing this point center role, which is really interesting to me. So they've had a couple big tests. They've done really well in, the game against Minnesota, their game against Chicago. They lost on Tuesday against the Liberty, which is kind of their first big test in the paint without Bree. But they were still really close in that game and they still had opportunities and they kind of just ran out of gas with the last few minutes of that game. So they're actually playing the Las Vegas Aces tomorrow night in Vegas. I'm very excited for that game and I'm definitely going to be watching that game and probably writing something out of that. They are still the only team to have beaten Vegas off that back-to-back in Uncasville. So we'll see how it goes in Las Vegas, but that will definitely be the real big test of how they match up in the paint with some good paint presences. And then I'm also interested in just kind of seeing, like I said, DiJonai and Beck Allen and how their roles kind of evolve for the team and how they kind of become essential to what the Sun need to do this season. So those are just some things that I'm looking at for the next couple weeks.
Thanks so much for joining me today, Jacqueline. Really excited to keep reading your work and reading those stories you're working on. Where can the people find you and your work?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is definitely at thenexthoops.com. All my work is there. And then you can also find me on Twitter at JackDLeb.
Thanks so much for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. Everydayers, make sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from our WNBA draft experts, Hunter, M, and Lincoln, as they discuss the news that M broke earlier today.